What's up, DanceFam? Welcome back to another episode of The Session. I'm your host, Russ Santos, as always, aka Lock and Robin. Today, as always, for the next few weeks, we'll be reviewing World of Dance Season 4. And today we will be reviewing Season 4, Episode 2. So the second episode into the season. As always, I have my buddies, fellow Justin Cortez and Eser Valencia with me. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on?
Justin, what is going on, man? How are you doing?
Same as last week.
Oops. Hello.
Doing
Same as last week. What were we doing last week?
Staying home, trying to stay conscious of everything that's going on. And yeah.
There it is. These are crazy times, man.
Crazy times.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing good too. Just been a busy week with work, and definitely staying on top of current events. You know, a lot happening.
Yeah, there's lots going on. As if there wasn't enough going on before, there's lots more happening now.
Yeah.
So
sure.
as I said before, we will be reviewing Season 4 of World of Dance on NBC, Episode 2. And before we actually jump into that, so speaking of current events and what's going on nowadays and what's happening, I guess, in the world, well, primarily in the United States, is the Black Lives Matter movement. What we want to do is take this time and opportunity to say that we stand with Black Lives Matter, especially since the three of us and a lot of our friends, most of our friends came up and grew up in the hip hop culture and the street dance culture, which is a black culture. It is first and foremost a black culture that is very, very culturally driven in how it was started. So we are just guests in this culture, and we just want to pay our respects and say that we stand with the Black Lives Matter movement. Justin, do you have anything to say?
I think you said it all, brother. I feel so fortunate to have been able to be a guest in this culture, and for that reason alone is enough for me to stand with the movement. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Esther, you got anything to say?
No, you guys definitely covered it, you know, and it just needs to be said, and we definitely acknowledge the gift of being guests in the culture, you know, and you know, it's only right and, you know, the right thing to do in these times, you know, to stand with everyone, stand with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, be safe out there, and let's move on to World of Dance. Also, World of Dance started in the hip hop culture, in the hip hop culture, in the hip hop scene, which is a black culture again. So let's move on to that season 4, episode 2. What did you guys think overall, Justin? What did you think overall about this episode?
I was really excited after we finished watching it, or after I finished watching it. I was excited to talk about a lot of the acts that came up. So, you know, I'm sure as we're going through each act, I'll just have a lot to say, and some things that I'll not hold my tongue, but there's some things that I need to educate myself more in understanding.
Sure. Not Justin, Esther, anything to say overall about how you felt about this episode in particular?
It was a true, like, personal appreciation of just like really how still diverse the world can be. I sometimes forget, because we can really tend to be stuck in our own little world, and I don't know, I'll say more later, but just saying, like, I'm just glad to have, you know, these kinds of acts come through. You know, it was just really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of different cultures this time, a lot of different styles this time. Well, I think it's, you know, that's props to whoever's editing, putting these episodes together, trying to mix the different styles and whatnot. Although there was a lot of contemporary in this one. But, you know, just trying to keep everything fresh within the episode. For me, I think overall, it's I said this last week, but it just feels too much like the other talent shows out there, like America's Got Talent, American Idol, The Voice, whatnot. You know, with like people watching from the side or whatever, focusing too much on judges, and just really, I don't know, and now with this whole warehouse dancing on the stage in front of the judges without the audience, it feels a little off to me. But we'll move on. Hopefully things will get better. Hopefully things get more exciting. So let's move on. Let's go straight to the acts. There were actually a few more this time than last week. I was a little surprised by that, but it's good to see that they're getting more acts in per episode. First off, we have The Rise, a hip-hop group from Gilbert, Arizona. Immediately I was like, I know this dude. I see him before. And then they hit Neo brought it up and they jumped right into it. He's from Electro Crew from last season 3. I think they made it at least to the duels, and they didn't get further than that. Maybe they might have made it to the cut too, but I know they didn't make it too far. At least they didn't get cut right in the qualifiers, but they made it. They didn't get too far after that. Justin, what did you think of them?
So the first note that I have here is oof, the ending. So it just kind of goes to show. I kind of wanted to take in their entire performance and then make comments afterwards. But yeah, not sticking that landing. It was. I don't personally think that a mistake should be the end all be all for a performance, but it's tough when you consider that everyone in this competition is bringing their A game. So to have someone miss a trick like that can be kind of devastating. When he probably nails that move 9 times out of 10.
Sure.
So that's really the only comment I had. That's not true. I thought their formations and transitions were seamless. They came in very, very, very strong. Kind of like the canonized movement that they had moving across the stage. I love that. I've never actually seen an opening like that, which I thought that was great. But then it wasn't the absolute cleanest, but they still have a sense of togetherness that I'm assuming they're still fostering because you said that this guy was in Electro Crew last year, so this has got to be kind of like a new team for him again, rebuilding that dance chemistry. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed the set. It's tough. That final moment, they're on that music, he hits the trick, and then bam, face plant, and it's devastating. It's got to be devastating.
Eser, what'd you think?
I thought they were a very good, energetic group of young men, showing off what they can offer. You can just feel that ambition, they want it, but also at the same time, maybe it could have been nerves, also because this is just an initial audition, but then also with the added on factor surprise, it's the actual judges. That could have been a contribution as well, so we don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't base the entire performance just because of one mistake too. Definitely seeing the general picture, the bigger picture of things, helps. But at the same time, that's the period of your sentence, the period of your final paragraph of your story. So the landing, I kind of thought it was almost oh, they did it on purpose. But then, and then I leaned back oh, they actually crashed. The young man really crashed. So I was just ooh, okay. So I felt very awkward for him. But, I do want to see them do better. I want to see them, I'm really actually looking forward to, this is one of the groups I want to see in the callbacks, really improve. So I'm with them. I want to see how much better they improve and learn from this mistake. But yeah, so I'm rooting for them. But on top of that, within the set, there definitely were some moments where it kind of lulled, it's just a pattern of up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt kind of bumpy for me.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with everything you guys said. Some things that you didn't say that I thought of. Let's see. I like that. One thing that I really liked about them and appreciated was that they didn't stick to the same rhythms and beats that to hit. Like they were changing it up every time. Sometimes they were on the lyrics, sometimes they were on the beat, sometimes they were on not the same rhythms as before. So props to them for doing that. Speaking of tricks, even though they didn't stick that last one, I did appreciate that they didn't do an overwhelming number of them. Like clearly they have this guy who's doing tricks, but they didn't overutilize them at that point, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And then overall, pretty much the same thing what you said, Eser. It kind of lulled in like the middle parts, I guess. It just wasn't as energetic as I appreciate, especially when like you see a team like UPeepz come on, or VPs from last season, or S-Ring, or any other like hardcore hip hop crew that comes on and just crushes it in terms of energy and cleanliness. These guys definitely have the feeling, the energy, the rawness. Like I know it's there, and like you can see it in what they do. I want to chalk it up to nerves, because they seem out of all the acts that came on this past episode, they seem the most surprised to see the judges. So I feel like it hit them the hardest to see that the judges were actually there. So at the end, Neo and Derek gave him a callback, and J-Lo said yes. So they get callbacks, or they will be called back for, I guess, another episode at some point. Just keep in mind that J-Lo gave him a yes here. I'm going to come back to this later on. Keep that in the back of your head, everyone who's listening.
I also just I want to call attention to the irony of them being called the Rise and him falling. Just
oh no!
Yeah,
no.
Probably gonna get black for that one.
Oh my goodness,
that's a good one.
Let's say that they are a team that will always rise, even in times like this, where they make a mistake. How about that? There you go.
I like that.
Okay.
Very nice.
There you go. Pick it back up.
Man, that was good.
Pick it back up.
Man, the editing didn't help. Like they really focused on that crash. That didn't. The editing didn't help them at all.
That overhead shot.
Yeah. Anyway. So they get called back. So that's the first group of the night. I'm just starting to realize that now that there are callbacks, that means there will be at least one more episode in between before we get to the duels. Probably a couple more episodes, and that's frightening for me. It's more stuff to review, so there's that. But there's a lot more stuff to review now. So anyway, let's move on to the next act. Oxygen, fusion they're a fusion of contemporary and hip hop. I want to say they're closer to fusion with like hip hop elements that they borrow from there. They're from the Netherlands, so world of dance. We're straight up in here. Eser, what'd you think of
them? When they first came out, they were literally in this episode the only group that didn't have like an intro or background. Like how they usually introduce the team. So I was just like, I hope this is not a montage like we usually anticipate. Good thing it wasn't. So I was glad that they were able to just ride out, and we were all able to see their performance. But yeah, like I don't know, for some reason I was getting a little like antsy because I wanted to know how they spelled their group name, and it literally was just the regular way of spelling, because I'm writing my notes. I'm like, okay, bring up the name. So sorry, that's just like a really quick thing for me that I just needed to get over. But anyways, moving on to the performance, like this was visually pleasing. Like I enjoyed seeing like just the beginning, like their use of just that whole like sequence of them lining up and then using the arms. I mean, we've seen this type of like sequence before with other groups, but this one felt a little more like intricate and very well planned, and well executed, because there were so many of them just lined up. And then also having the front dancer playing off of that, like that's difficult. Like you got to get that timing down. So it's crazy. And now thinking then throughout the performance, all I could think of, I was like, they're really living up to their group name. they're really breathing like oxygen. It's just movement like oxygen, you know.
I'm loving these. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
That was
Um,
great.
I I just wanted to keep watching them too, like what was gonna happen next, but then it ended so quickly before I could even like continue watching. So I was like, that was so quick? Like they just stayed in one place too. So I was like, I wish they could have used more space because they were such a like, a good size number of girls just moving in that space. Um, but yeah, I did appreciate the moments that were there that was condensed in this package of a performance. Very hard work and great coordination.
Well said. Justin, what'd you think, man?
Whew, they were just truly captivating. And I mean, so they open up and they do the Shiva inspired. It's a Hindu god. That movement is where they got that from. 30 seconds, practically in the same formation, and not one of those seconds was I bored. Oh my gosh, I've never seen. I've seen the Shiva, done on stage before, but not in this way. Not in the way that they had utilized it. And Eser brought up a great point that it was like breathing for them. They were breathing through their movements, and you can really tell that everything was so purposeful. Nothing seemed wasted. And you have the girl in the front, and I think being in the front is probably the hardest because you have to kind of emote what's going on behind you when you're yeah.
Right.
And she's like hitting these like cuts, and she's hitting these like these poses that are inspired by so many things.
Man, that's pretty.
It was so pretty. Like, and you could see everyone back there is intense. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, Oxygen. I think at this point, watching this episode, I would have said Oxygen was my favorite so far of this competition because of just what they did in such a small space for such a long time. It was great.
Pretty much agree, man. Like so far, they're my favorite, and they're my watch out for these guys because clearly they're super creative in what they do. Like the first thing I wrote was the ripples, though. Like they love ripples. Almost everything they did had like ripples involved. And man, the lines that they hit, lines were everywhere. The visuals that they gave us, man, almost everything they did, I was just like, well, that's cool. It's like, well, yeah, that's pretty, that's cool. Yeah, that looks awesome. And my favorite thing about them is that their musicality is on point. Like they know, they know their music like in and out. Like they could write a theorem on it. Like that's how they know. That's how well they know the music. And that, to me, that's what musicality is. It's like really understanding what the music is doing. I keep peddling this or pushing this and say that for me, musicality isn't what most people think it means, in the sense that, just because, like there's a beat there that you can't really hear until you actually start dancing to it, or, like there's a cymbal coming up and you decide to hit that. That's not exactly what it means. I feel like really understanding what the music is doing behind all that, like in spite of all that, or with all that at the same time, like to me that's musicality. And I feel like Oxygen really has a good understanding of how to really bring out the best of the music and really like tell the story of what's going on in the music there. I wrote this because this is how it made me feel watching it. I said it made me feel like I was watching a Kingdom Hearts trailer / cutscene / intro. Like, like before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out and like they showed that awesome Kingdom Hearts trailer, like, dude, it felt just like that. It felt so good. It felt like I didn't completely understand what was going on, but at the same time, I knew exactly what was going on. And I don't know if I'm just really hyping them up, but for me, it felt good. It felt really good.
Nail on the head, brother. Nail on the head.
I get you. No, I totally get
That
you.
Kingdom Hearts stuff is like perfect. Oh my gosh.
to all the gamers out there, at least.
Couldn't have said it better, you know.
So clearly they got 3 yeses. I don't even think they went individually. They just said, "Yeah, you're going through." It's a hard yes. So that's that. Like that's Oxygen to me, for me, and I guess for Justin and maybe Eser. Like they're the ones to watch out right now. And we're only in episode 2, so who knows who else is coming up later. So let's go ahead and move on to the next act. The Indigenous Enterprise. The Starship Enterprise. Justin, what'd you think about that, man?
Okay, so it's hard for me to have an opinion because I don't know much about traditional Native American dances. They definitely stand out. That's like, the costuming alone, like not costuming, but like the garments of their ancestors, like their culture, they are such a great embodiment of their culture, and tons of energy. And that's what was the most captivating thing about them, was the energy that they're giving off. It's almost like catching the spirit. Actually, I think it is exactly catching the spirit. Because like what you're seeing when they perform is just ages, decades, centuries of their culture passed down to them. You know, that is the most amazing thing about their performance. And it's enough to make me want to look more into that culture and that dance and find out more, because I know that I'm grossly uneducated on what any of it meant.
Sure. Thanks, everybody.
And I feel like if I had known more about it, I could have probably appreciated it more. But I generally I did agree with the judges a little bit. It's kind of as amazing as it is and as great as it was for the exposure to the culture and to the dance. I don't know if it fits into this particular competition yet. It might be something that can be developed further and could be included later down the line. I would love to see something like this to that effect, you know, in a future episode or a future season or something like that.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Well said. Eser, what'd you think?
Yeah, I would have to stand by the notion of just how uneducated I felt watching this performance. It was a very beautiful thing too. I mean, probably the most relatable thing is just understanding like the weight of the costumes that they were wearing. Like I'm sure, at least for the 3 of us, because we've been there, we've done cultural dancing and worn garbs of clothing while we're up on stage or out in, you know, the sun during street festivals. And that's what I appreciated. Like, there are just so many things out there that we still don't understand, and we can still learn from one another. And that's what hip hop is embodied. Like, it's grabbing from different cultures and meshing it together, calling it this culture based off of, from its origins up in New York. You know, hip hop was, born there. And, we're grabbing like movement that you can see very familiarly, some of it perhaps, but also at the same time, it's still hundreds of years of traditional dancing, grabbing from their ancestors, paying homage to the elderly and who they are. This is just their identity. So that's what I appreciated about it. And it was just great to see that on this show and just having that inclusivity. So making it feel a little more genuine, how the show just has these kinds of acts come through. So much praise on that end. And it was a cool shout out that they had Taboo, invite them for
cool.
Taboo from Black Eyed Peas. For those who know Black Eyed Peas, like Taboo, was able to find these guys and put them in his a video for at Standing Rock,
Right.
So that was a good thing to hear about, just have like that kind of representation, call back to like even just the people and bring them in. But yeah, as much as I loved watching these guys, and I do need to read up on and definitely educate myself on their dancing. Hopefully, in the future, we'll see more competitiveness out of this kind of dancing, in this type of show. But yeah, I really was on the side of judges at the end. Like, was this enough to push them through to the next round? But this is needed. This kind of dancing is still needed out there. So I'll leave it at that.
Right on, right on. So pretty much for me, first of all, I want to say, I want to give props to World of Dance for even putting them on the show. Like, they could have, well, for one, inviting them, like letting them, well, I'm not sure if they were invited or if people have to apply or whatever, but like even putting them on in the episode, like putting them on the show, because I'd like to think not everyone gets to just be on the show, and then make it past editing. Like, props to the show for deliberately putting a cultural dance on in their platform. It's like World Dance. It's called World Dance for a reason, right? So first of all, props to World of Dance for that. But yeah, like, you guys have said this, and like the judges said it too. It's like it's hard to be competitive when it's so like culturally driven, and it's culturally not supposed to be competitive, right? At that like it was created and it's fostered, and like the intentions weren't meant solely for competition or even at all at that point. Like the three of us being Filipino, we have our own cultural dances. We don't use them to compete against other people who have their own cultural dances, or other Filipinos who are doing the same kind of dance. Like, so that's tough at that point. So coming on to a show called World of Dance, where it is a competition against all styles of dance, it's tough. But again, like, props to them for even having, to have the strength, or to have the drive to want to be on the show and share their culture at that point. I think in order to be competitive with cultural dance, culturally driven dances, you have to, I feel like, and I could be wrong about this, like, completely, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, or if you think I'm wrong. I feel like you need to pick a different style, hip hop for one, and then at that point fuse your cultural dances or cultural dance elements into it, so that it kind of has something there that no one else has ever seen, but still with things that are familiar to other people, like three judges who don't know anything about Native American dancing, Navajo in this instance. What do you guys think of that?
It's tough to want to do that, because then
absolutely.
you get into like the appropriation of culture and the bastardization of culture and all that, and you want to make sure. I
meant for them, like, because I don't think it's not appropriating when they're. Well, I see what you're saying. Like, they're appropriating hip hop at that point. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so that gets tough. Like, you want something like that's fresh and that's new and that people haven't seen before, but then at the cost of what? It's hard to juggle that. I appreciate them for just being them. Like, it just sucks that it's hard to do that in this type of competition.
Well, I think in any kind of competition at that point, But yeah, I feel like hip hop is at least more welcoming than any. Well, it's like it's a mixture of cultures at that point. Also now, I feel well, not necessarily. It is appropriated at that point, since it is a black culture at its heart. But it does have a lot of guests, and they wouldn't be the first group if they even went down that road to kind of borrow elements from hip hop and whatnot, or vice versa. Because in hip hop, man, everybody borrows elements from everywhere, and that's how a lot of styles are made. Actually, like locking, bopping, all that, breaking, borrowed a lot from martial arts. But now we're going down a whole different rabbit hole. At the end of the day, they got 3 no's from the judges strictly because it's not competitive enough at that point, which is understandable. So unfortunately, they won't be moving on. But I completely agree with you, Justin. I think it'd be a great idea if they had different cultural dances as like guests later on to fill in the breaks instead of like, not that they're terrible, but like instead of like late twins and stuff like that. It'd be cool to have like different cultural dances on. That'd be awesome as a guest.
Mm-hmm. The world of dance.
Good showcasing.
That's the way to do it.
Let's move on. Man, that was only the 3rd act. So let's move on to the 4th act. James and Harris, a contemporary duo from Seattle, Washington. Eser, what'd you think?
Yeah, they're a really awesome duo of boys. You know, like they're energetic, they're young, and they're just like ready for the world. So I don't know, but like when they said they're best friends, I was like, oh, they definitely look like it. And them telling their story of like being the 2 boys in a room full of girls learning contemporary, you know, just like I don't know how to relate, but I think I know how they feel. You know, like it's the one guy, and then you introduce the second guy. It's like they got to stick together, you know. But for real though, they had very good chemistry, and it showed in their performance, you know. And that amount of trust just doesn't come easily, you know. Being even proclaiming like even best friends, because they're still best friends who can dance, you know, together, but still like can not have that same kind of chemistry you would expect. But this one was on the money, hit on just good seeing it. Just good seeing it being shown in this way with those 2. I don't know. I wasn't ready for that song of choice they had. You know, like, ooh, okay, this is something like different. So I'm ready to see what they're showcasing. I want to see what they want to showcase. Great fluidity and intricacies shown. Good strength. I did like their tricks, and it was placed with a purpose rather than just like showing it off, you know, and just having it there randomly. Because sometimes there's sets there that out there that can just place tricks just for the sake of like, oh, we need a filler. And it's not in this case, which I truly commend. And then I think it was Derek that mentioned this. I can't remember. But this is before he even said it. I was just thinking like, there's something missing in some of these parts of their set. And he kind of said it also. So felt like they could have played more with their music at certain points. So it happens. It's not the first time we've seen it. And you know, missed moments will happen. So we just hope to see something a level higher than what they presented.
Right on. Justin, what do you think, man?
I also agree that they are both very strong dancers. I love their friendship. It's very bro-y.
Yeah.
It's very like
100%.
I love you too. Let's hug. Like that's kind of the relationship that we have, like as friends. You know, just a little peek into our friendships. I actually really enjoyed the choices they made musically. Kind of fitting those kind of very intricate tricks into the music and making them kind of congeal really well. I did agree, you know, with Eser and with Derek, like that one moment was a little bit missed, but not so much where I felt upset that they missed it. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, I guess that's more aesthetic or personal aesthetic than anything. I don't know if it's just me, but like when someone gets launched into the air, maybe because I'm in my 30s now, my stomach drops.
Yeah.
When they land, because I'm like, man, I really hope they hit this landing or they don't get hurt.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I'm comparing to how I would feel if I got launched that high and having to land, because I've had really bad landings. I've been launched that high before. So, yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed their performance. I actually thought they were brothers.
Yeah.
By the way that they like, interacted and everything, but they're just best friends. And I can definitely understand being like one of the only guys in a contemporary or like a modern dance class, and then another guy comes in, you immediately like just click with them because you're like, you just start blowing out for no reason. It's an interesting feeling. I understand that completely. That was like my entire college career practically, all 9 years of it. But yeah, no, James and Harris, love them. I think that they're going to do really well in this competition.
Nice. I agree mostly with you guys. The things I wrote were that they told a nice story throughout their dance. And the reason why they were able to tell such a nice story is because they have really good chemistry and trust between each other, being, you know, best friends and for however long they've been best friends. It's clearly seen, like you can definitely tell. I didn't notice too many nerves in the beginning, even though like JLo said that she thought that they were nervous, but you know, maybe she saw something that being there that we didn't see on camera. I thought they were fine. I just didn't. For me, I don't think they're not as strong as other contemporary duos that I've seen, even in these last 2 episodes so far. Like with that pair from last week. So I think they're gonna have a tough battle. They're definitely good. Like, don't get me wrong, they definitely have the skills and the talent and athleticism for it. But I think they are gonna have to really pull some stuff out of the bag to really let themselves be seen and, you know, to win that $1 million, man, at the end. Let's see, what did the judges give Derek gave him a callback. JLo said yes, and then it was up to Neo. Eventually, he said yes. I think I agreed with Neo. Like I was like on the fence between them, but between a callback and a yes, I was on the fence between that. But at the end, I said probably yes. Like I think based on like their personalities alone, I would probably put them through. Like they seem like awesome guys, man. Let's see. There's a fly in here. You see it?
I wasn't sure if I saw the moth. It's like a moth or something, right?
Yeah, a little tiny moth.
Yeah, there's something flying in there. But anyways,
I was like,
I don't know. Quick.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on to the next group. The 305.
Yeah.
This is 305. 305 from Miami, Florida. They're a Latin ballroom group that apparently danced with J-Lo and I guess Shakira in the Super Bowl. You know, when they said that, I was like, man, I thought we were going to get through at least one episode without having to mention that J-Lo was in the Super Bowl. But nope. We're mentioning it one more time. Let's see. Justin, you can start this one off. What'd you think of that, man?
Okay, so costuming was great. Those pants, whatever they're wearing, I know it's cultural, like culturally from that style of dance. It just really shows off like the articulation, like the movements much better. It is so cool to watch that move. When they came in, and they were talking to J-Lo, J-Lo knew who they were. That was made for TV.
You think so?
Oh yeah. I felt
personal opinion. I think that it felt like she knew who they were, and she was just kind of like.
I feel like she. I don't know. I feel like she really didn't know. Like maybe she's like, they look familiar, because like I feel like a better made for TV moment would be like, hey, it's you guys. Hey, well, it's me. Hey, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, go ahead, keep going.
They had so much energy. I thought they were super engaging. I thought their staging was really good. But that guy that was in the center, like the whole time, there were 100%. So many moments where it just felt like, he just would fall out of character, or he would forget a movement, or he just wasn't performing to the energy that everyone else is giving around him. And this guy's in the center. Yep. You know, when you're in the center, you're supposed to deserve that spot. And if they had put anyone else in the center, it would have probably read. You know, nothing against him, but everything against him, because, you know, you got to hold those spots down. Like, when you're the center of attention, you have to act like the center of attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's the joy and curse of dance. But I overall, the whole performance, I did enjoy what they had to offer. Yeah.
Cool. Justin, Eser, what do you think?
I couldn't stop smiling since they entered the room. It was just contagious. Their energy just was like that, even through the screen, you know, like they're kids, you know, like they're exuding this incredible amount of energy and they're just ready for it, you know, like, and I was just like, ooh, I'm ready for these kids too. I want to see what they got, you know, because you just never know. Because being a kid, you can be almost indestructible and do anything. And then as you get more seasoned as a dancer, it's just like, oh, we got to be careful with my knees and my ankles and my hips, you know. But no, these kids can do anything. And it was just consistent throughout with the energy, with their performance. And, you know, just like not a wasted transition, you know, like they're fantastic dancers. And I'll agree on the point where Justin was mentioning about the center, the boy in the center, you know, just like
this guy.
I'm focused on you. Like, I'm really focused on you, and you really got to give more, because I felt like you were just like, oh my God, I'm a little starstruck right now, or something. I don't know what's going in his head. And yeah, I felt like he could have gave more. But
the guy in the back looked like he was going to run up and help him.
But yeah, like, you can't let the mess ups be seen on stage as best of your ability, because that's why they call it recovery, right? You gotta train yourself. You gotta train yourself. So it's still good that you can really like fix these mistakes even as you're younger, to really like have that instilled in you. So you gotta watch out. So yeah, I enjoyed them overall, but you know, there's definitely things that they can still fix.
Right. You know, and like, I don't even think he really messed up per se. I think it was just, I don't know, maybe there was something that we just missed, but it wasn't as obvious to me that he messed up. For some reason, like, he just lost all his facials. And like, right from the get-go, man, I was hyped, because when they were dancing, like, they're super energetic. Their energy is like through the roof. And like, and that style of dance, all about their persona, like their personality, like standing out, you know, amongst the crowd and just being strong about having that strong presence. And then if you're in the front and center, and then all of a sudden your presence or your face is, or you lose that mentality, then it kind of, for me, like for the audience and me in particular, it just brought my energy way back down. It's like, oh, he doesn't look like he's having fun, you know, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But again, like, their energy overall was super high, like way through the roof. Their formations, I love them. Like, they're constantly moving and just doing all kinds of things, throwing tricks in between there. Having a couple in the beginning, that was awesome too. Nice to see that. But yeah, it's so strange that we keep focusing on this one guy. But I mean, it just goes to show how much, you know, it can you know, be detrimental to, you know, your set at that point. So they got 3 callbacks, and I'd have to agree with that. Like, I know they could do more, but it's like it just wasn't all there for going straight to duels. Anything else for you guys?
No,
I'm good.
Cool. All right. Moving on to Luca and Alessandra, and this couple was, I mean, they might for the night. They're like tied for first with me, them and Oxygen. Man, they were awesome. But anyway, you guys, you know what? No, let me go first this time.
You go ahead, Russ. You I want to hear what you got, man.
All right, so Luca and Alessandra, they're a Latin ballroom couple from Italy. Apparently, they've been dancing for like 20 odd years, and now they're married. So that's awesome to have a partner pretty much for life at that point, a dance partner for life. Right from the start, right when they were getting set up for their posing for their set, and they got into their starting pose, Neil was like, "You better give us vibes before the music starts," and I was feeling the exact same thing as Neo. Like, I was like, "Ooh, man, I can feel whatever they're putting out right now. This is gonna be really good." Like you can definitely tell like one of the benefits of dancing together for so long and now being married and having this intimate relationship, they can exude that through dance, and it doesn't look fake at all. It looks like 100% genuine, and you almost feel a little bit uncomfortable kind of watching it, like because it looks that intimate at that point. So right from the get-go, or maybe like towards the half, I was like, you know what? No, their musicality is on point. They know exactly what is going on in their music, and they know how to represent it well. That, just like the small nuances in their movements, the small movements that they made, the small subtle ones, they really know how to like really make those small parts of the music seem big. And for me, that was great. Their lifts were great. There was one move where she was like walking on his feet, so it looked like she was kind of walking on air as he moved her around. Oh man, beautiful! Like I'm like infatuated with these guys. Their footwork was awesome. They told us like a really good story throughout their whole set or the whole performance, and then at the end, Derek said it was very Argentine tango skewed, I guess, or like that's the style of Latin ballroom that they did. And he asked if that was their main style, and they were like, no, that was the first time they did it. I wrote in big bold letters or in capital letters, what? It's like how did it look that damn good and like that like creative? Like it just goes to show you how creative they can be, and like how good they are at that point to just kind of pick up that kind of a style and just throw their own personality on it, like their relationship on it at that point. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like tied for first, them and Oxygen for me right now. Justin, what'd you think?
So much passion, attention to music was so amazing, like you said. I mean, you brought up all the great points. That part where she's walking down, it was incredible. And I thought I was the one making the comments. Didn't realize it was the judges the entire time, because they were just saying exactly what I was feeling throughout the entire performance. And I think that was purposeful, because I've never been so aware of the judges' comments while they're performing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they wanted people to hear the Peanut Gallery. They wanted people to hear
Derek in particular. He had really good comments.
But like you even said, like you brought it up, like Neo's comment. Oh, you better give us a vibe. Like he turned his head. All he did was turn his head. But that's not just what he did. He gave so much in just like setting up that it was just, and they're just so beautiful together. Like I don't know. It was like the note that I wrote was like it was like watching jelly congeal together. Like it was like watching something. You know, like you know how like when you this is so stupid. You know how like when the old Nesquik, when you would stir it in the milk.
Oh no!
Yes.
Those like pockets of powder that just never like dissolve or anything, unless it's hot water, and then like that's what it was: hot water and hot chocolate just mixing together, just coming together.
Oh boy.
Hey, I didn't dance it. That's what I was thinking. You know, they were amazing.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's awesome.
You understand where I'm coming from?
No, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Oh yeah, exactly. For real.
Eser, what'd you think, man?
Oh man, now I want some hot Nesquik. But yeah, I don't know. You guys covered a lot of it, but at the same time, I just have to keep I have to keep it going, you know. And yeah, like right from the start, these two, I was just like, you know, I got my laptop here set up to write notes about it, and I'm just like trying to like keep my attention, you know, watching it. But right at that moment when they were setting up, I definitely stopped. I literally stopped. I'm just like, oh, you know, like I just like had to put my hand to my face, and then it just slid down to my heart. I'm just like, ooh, this is gonna be hot, like real hot. And the storytelling, like from beginning to finish, like they kept me like attentive and so engaged. Like in the words of Neo, I wrote here like that ooze, like he nailed it. Like I don't know how else to describe it because like they definitely had those moments where you had to keep up your strength, like just for those slow down moments. Like that's not easy at all.
Mm-mm.
Those slow moments have a
Mm-hmm.
considerable amount of strength. You got to be ready for that, and they made it look so effortless, and it was just so beautiful to see, just seeing how this story they were making progressed, and I was just like taken aback, and just wanted to have them keep telling more of it. Like this was chapter one, so what's chapter two going to look like? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it really does set a difference when it's like just two dance partners that are not like in some sort of intimate relationship but can still like exhibit an intimate relationship, and then there's the couple that is married and can like have that passion and like real like intimacy. Like there's such a huge difference there, like when you have those kinds of couples. And yeah, like the comfortability that this couple had was just beyond measure, and that helped them throughout, and it was just amazing. Like wow.
100%, man. 100%. They were
Cold
awesome.
shower.
Oh, man. Anyway,
that
um,
that hot Nesquik.
so they obviously got 3 yeses, like straight up. So I'm excited to see more of what they're gonna bring, especially like in the
Hmm.
duels. Like I just want to. They have such a commanding presence. I'm excited. Let's move on to the next act. It was the UPeepz, hip hop group from our motherland, the Philippines. They are the adult group and coaches to last season's VPeepz, and they were phenomenal. So like they won their division, I think, is what is how that last
Yeah.
season turned out for them.
Hmm.
So I was actually interested to see how UPeepz might measure up to VPeepz, because I mean those kids were on point, obviously. Justin, why don't you kick us off with this one?
When they first walked out, I was like, "Don't I know them?" Like, because I didn't join you guys very much last season because I had moved and everything, and I did maybe a couple of episodes, so I got to see VPeepz, and I was like, I know this name, like it's not UPeepz. Okay, it's the same team. Okay, we're good. I'm there. But I think the thing that I liked about them most is that they are the cleanest and sharpest team so far in this competition. Um, they're like they definitely look like the same person over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, the mouth singing, the lackluster trick that was predictable. It was very those were points that I took away from them in my mind. And then the choreography is strong and started off really strong, but it was still one note. And when you have, I think that there were 2 or 3 other groups in this episode alone that were just above and beyond with their musicality.
Yeah.
That now I'm thinking that this is not, I've got that in my mind now. I don't know if it would have been different if UPeepz have been before them, but comparing them to the other teams, they have a long way to go because they're hitting a lot of the same tempos and rhythms over and over again.
Yep.
And it becomes, and that's what that's where it becomes one note, and it's hard, like me being Filipino, us being Filipino, you want that team, you want that home team to like bring it. And I just needed so much more from them. Like the trick that they did, it was so predictable. I was like, oh, guy's setting up on stage left.
Yep.
He's gonna do a round off back flip, back tuck, right? Yeah, he did it. And then they had someone kind of mirror it in the back too.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that so many times. And not to say that it's not impressive when someone does it, but like it's, that's the vice. People have seen it. You need to come with something different, something that's going to make you stand out. So, and I agreed with the judges. I thought that VPeepz was better than them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at this point right now, which is, I can't compare them because this is only the first performance that I've seen them in. But right now, the VPeepz I thought were more engaging and I thought they were much better. So,
Right on. Eser, what'd you think?
They have the soft spot because they're from the motherland, but I did agree with a lot of things Justin said as well. I really wanted them to bring out more because like I was excited for them in the beginning of their set, but then it just like stayed, where it was for like a while, and what else? Like give it some more, and it was like nothing really changed that much. Like I love their energy and their enthusiasm. They're a fun group, but I definitely, it was just like nitpicking. Also, like the mouthing needs to stop. Like stop singing when you're not singing while you're dancing. Like create a different facial. Do something else, please. And then I wrote here, how clean is too clean? Like, no doubt they are, but at the same time, like, you just get so hyped with the song that they use. Like, this is Busta. And like, it was Busta, right? I'm just trying to recall.
To be honest, I don't even remember.
But I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong if I'm saying Busta. But the feeling of their entire set, like you just wanted a little more grimy and a little grittier, And then J-Lo said it, like later when she was judging. So I just wanted more out of it. Like you can have that style of just like being clean and have that part of your identity on the set, but like there comes a time like you just got to realize like you got to get in there, get a little more raw, and that's what I was waiting for. So just to take it more to the top, and you already set that expectation. Like you're the coaches of VPeepz who won the junior division in a previous season, so people are expecting things more because you are the coaches. So
right. And it was Busta. Now that I remember now. Yeah, I agree with you guys. First thing I put out was that right from the get go, thought they were clean and their energy was high. But then towards the end, or as the set went on, as the performance went on, you could see them losing their like that same intense energy that they had in the beginning. For me at least, not like terrible. It wasn't a terrible drop off, but like it was noticeable. And I think it's because the ending was so lackluster for me. Like there was this high point or kind of a really good moment where they did like a spinning. This guy did a spin and then into a full drop split, into a full split, and it was like bouncing on beat. And I was like, oh damn, that was cool. And then like it got up from that point, and then they just kind of did the same repetitive choreo to just the instrumental part. Like no lyrics even in there, so like you're just focusing on what they're hitting, which is the beats, and then they kind of just do a little pose at the end, and that was about it. So it was a little bit lackluster at the end for me. But yeah, Justin, 100% what you said with that setup for that trick in the front. It's like the drawback for tricks that take a long time to set up like that is that and then you put them in the front, is that you're going to notice that whole thing and then you're just going to watch it happen. It's like watching paint dry at that point. It's like, dry. You know what I mean? So like, that's the downfall. And like, if you think you missed anything else happening in the piece, in this case you weren't, because they weren't even doing that much. So that was one big drawback for me when it came to them. But their energy was high, or in the beginning their energy was super high. They were clean throughout the whole thing, at least. I liked their formations and the transitions that they gave, other than setting up that one trick. And I think that's about it. Actually, let me see if I can pull up that split. That looks like it. That looks like it.
Yep.
Shablam.
Yep.
Boom. And then after that, it kind of just dawdled off for me.
Yeah, it kind of did. Like the recovery there.
Yeah. Anyway, so Neil gave him a yes, Derek gave him a yes, and then JLo gave them a callback. And so now I'm going back. I told you to remember that JLo gave the Rise a yes to go straight to the duels, and then gave UPeepz a callback. So like, if you look at both those teams, both doing hip hop, you know, one's younger than the other clearly, but UPeepz I thought were way better than the Rise. And I feel like they should have gotten at least 3 yeses. Like, they weren't so bad that I'd be like, no, you got to come back and then show us something. Like, as opposed to, like, JLo giving the Rise, like, a straight yes to go through. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Justin?
I don't know. Is it a form, like, is it a weird form of elitism? Like, oh, we've seen this guy before, we know what he's capable of, yeah, let's put him through, versus, well, I guess UPeepz are the coaches of VPeepz, so I guess it's kind of the same thing. But it's hard to really say, you know.
Yeah. Maybe she held them to a higher standard, knowing who the VPeepz were. Eser,
true.
What do you think?
That could be it. Too.
Oh no, you definitely hit that. I was about to say that probably because she said callback for UPeepz is because she's holding, because of the standard, you know, and then she goes yes for the kids because they probably could pull it off more quickly while they're in the duels, because like I think it's just, I guess this is my personal opinion though, it's like I think it's just in her mindset, like, because these younger dancers can really like get into it if they're put in the right setting, the right atmosphere, you know, like how badly do they want it. And then of course, like coming from like setting that expectation of VPeepz, you know, having won, so I guess that's why she wanted a callback. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
But luckily they are still going straight through to the duels, so we'll be seeing them in the duels. That's exciting.
Lucky.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
All right, on to the last couple at this point. Styles and Emma. Cool name, Styles and Emma. They are a ballet duo from Rochester, New York. So like they call them a ballet duo, but I feel like, and Justin, you know way more about contemporary and whatnot. But I feel like Styles is more contemporary than he is ballet. Am I wrong to say that?
It's kind of a mixed bag, because like when you say contemporary, it could mean a lot of things. It's like contemporary could be a little bit more skewed towards modern, or it could be a little bit more skewed towards ballet. What they're doing is definitely, their training is definitely ballet. You know, you can tell by their technique that and she's dancing on point, so that's another thing. Yeah. That's a ballet aspect, and ballet dancers are generally so strong, which Styles is. He is so incredibly strong.
Yeah, look at his physique.
But yeah, and he he came out in just like shorts, and that was it. You know, I wish I had that kind of confidence. No. But what they're doing is still contemporary, but skewed more to the ballet side of things. You know, gotcha. Like that parking, the pas de deux of sorts. Like they're having that duet style of that is evident in ballet. So yeah,
cool. Go ahead and tell us what you thought.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my jaw literally dropped just watching them. Like, because their extensions were just beautiful. The lines were just beautiful. I don't think I was breathing the entire performance. And I honestly think that they are a very special duo. They're just like incredible strength, and I'm excited. They're definitely one of the ones that I'm most excited to see go through this performance. Like today, in just this episode alone, I have like a 3-way tie of favorite performances because each one is bringing something so different, yet so special. And it's three very different, styles.
Yeah.
So Styles and Emma, they have something special about their partnership that and it could just be because they're both fantastic dancers. That could be it, to be honest. Yeah, that's all I have.
Nice. Eser, what'd you think, man?
It was very beautiful to watch. But,
well said. All right, let's move on.
No, but I got more. Yeah, like I totally like respect Styles living his life, working that job, and right after doing what he loves, just as any aspiring like artist would. You gotta live that struggle, and that's your story. But you can definitely see it in the way he dances. Like, this is made for him. He's made for it. And it was just so comfortable seeing like how strong he is, and like their partnership was just so meshed well, and like just being able to like be so graceful with all that balance and control. It was just amazing to see. And like as a duet, it was incredible, but also just even seeing them to exhibit their individuality on the stage, it was just like amazing too. So it was just kind of challenging for me to really like, wow, I need to know who to really pay attention to while watching this, because like a lot was happening, but at the same time, it wasn't too much that you couldn't make sense of it. So it was just beautifully made, like how engaging these two made their set too. Like they knew it, and they really played off of it very well. Just finding the rhythm and just like, really giving it the visual it deserves. So I was just very, very grateful to see this even put on stage, and just like appreciative of the unpredictability of their set. So I really look forward to seeing them in the rest of the show.
Me too. 100% what you guys have been saying. I thought this was the most, so far into these two episodes, I thought this was the most beautiful piece that I've seen so far, or act, I guess. I don't know. It was just really moving. I guess that's a dance pun. I'm not sure. Anyway, I wrote down. I wrote down that between the two of them, they have so much strength, like individually and together. Like clearly, Styles is strong. Look at the dude. It's like I feel like you could like punch him and he wouldn't even feel it.
I know.
And then Emma with being on point and still flexing and giving us that line and just maintaining it for a while being manipulated or moved by Styles. Really beautiful, really strong between the two of them. Both like fantastic athletes at that point. And then I said this before, but like they had lines. Like lines were everywhere, and I'm not a stickler because I'm not as knowledgeable when it comes to contemporary modern or ballet. But for me, I thought I didn't see one line out of place, in my opinion. And Justin, you may have seen it, something else. But Styles had this one move where he he fell onto his back and like whipped his legs backwards also at the same time. And pretty much I feel like he hit the floor backwards behind him. And man, he is super flexible to be able to do that. And athletic at that point. Holy crap, man, that was awesome. I really liked him. Like, I agree with you. Like, there were 3 acts in this episode alone that so far are super strong, and I think are definitely ones to look out for in this competition. Those acts being Oxygen, Luca and Alessandra, and then now Styles and Emma. So far, a really good episode. Well, so far the best episode out of the 2. Which makes me kind of excited to see, what else is going to happen, like in these other episodes, if there are better acts out there than what we've seen in in these three. So like, I'm excited for once. I'm excited about World of Dance.
The bar is high. It's so high right now.
Right. Oh, and needless to say, they got 3 yeses, so they went through.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They really did.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'm super excited. How about you guys? Anything else you want to say about this episode, Justin?
I agree with you. I'm also very excited, and that's saying something about, a competition like this. Like we always take this, the show with kind of a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, we still enjoy seeing what it does for dance in general. It's really, it pushes dance, all world cultures and everything to the forefront, which is, I think, the most beautiful thing about the show. But man, am I excited after those 3 performances in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to expect next week.
Yeah, me either. Eser, anything you want to say about this episode?
I'm hoping for more hot Nesquik, That's all I got to say.
That's my goofies.
JLo gets goosies. Justin feels like hot Nesquik.
But
I love it.
Seriously, like I am very much looking forward. I hope editing did a good job to really sequence these episodes right.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am also excited, and like this episode alone had a lot of great things. 3 great acts, 3 phenomenal acts, different styles, and then and now different cultures at that point. Latin ballroom obviously being one, like and showing their Latin flair, and then the Native American group. It's what is it? Enterprise? I think Enterprise. Indigenous Enterprise.
Indigenous Enterprise.
Yeah, and they were. Man, like I'm excited, and I'm hoping that in these next episodes we're going to see a lot more of that, because that'd be really cool to see, actually, and really interesting. But Justin, Eser, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Where can people find you,
sir.
Justin, buddy?
Wonderfell88, Instagram and Twitter. I'm on both.
Nice.
Follow me.
Right on. Oops. Hello, Eser. Eser.
Hey.
Where can people find you, man?
You guys can find me on Instagram as well at Valserca. That's VALSERCA.
Cool. And as always, go ahead. Go ahead, Justin. Say it.
It's coming. It's coming.
He's single, y'all. Haven't said it in so long. Come and get your boy. This guy.
Oh my gosh.
This guy.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't give you a chance to say it last week. My bad.
It's okay. We'll get it back.
Right. And as always, I'm Russ Santos, aka Lock and Robin. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, all the good stuff. At Lock and Robin. Just look me up, hit me up. If you like what you have seen and what you're hearing, whether it is on a podcast or on YouTube or on our website, Instagram, whatever, please follow us, give us a like, a subscribe, anything you want. We'll take it. Like us on Instagram, on Facebook, at DanceFamtv, YouTube, look up DanceFamtv, hashtag the session. You can even go to our website, dancefam.tv, and you'll find a whole bunch of stuff out there. Other stuff besides the session, you'll find a lot of stuff on there as well. And if whether or not you agree or disagree with us, again, these are just our opinions that we, are shaped by our own experiences. But we'd like to hear what you guys have to say about either World of Dance episode or whether or not you agree with us. And we'll drop it in a comment and we'll get right back to you. And to those who commented on our last episode, thank you for welcoming us back. We are happy to be back. We will see you guys next time. Peace out.